Welcome back. Glad you made it. It's not a social production. We're doing it on Friday, November 29th, 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Glad you made it. It's not a social production. That's right. We're doing it. Boys and girls, if you're just tuning in, ladies and gents, if you're buckled out and buckle up, where can you find these videos? On Instagram. I'm telling you there. Subscribe on the YouTube channel so you get the full-length videos. Check out patreon.com/RobSadri if you'd like to fiscally, financially support the show. Become a syndicate member. Wherever you're tuning in from. Le podcast. They're doing it. If you're doing it from the francophones in Canada, anywhere in Ontario, over there in Saskatoon, over there in Regina, over there in Alberta, Vancouver, BC, over there in Vancouver. What's going on? All going on the West Coast, down south in the United States, further down south, Mexico, South America, over there, Europe, Asia, Antarctica, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Australia, to Koreas, Nigeria, Nairobi, Senegal, Trinidad and Tobago, Caribbean Islands, Jamaica, Wagwan, all around the world. Essentially, we're doing it, and it's Friday. Join me here for another episode, and we're doing it. It's gonna be a loose day. I'm not gonna lie to you, a little bit flying. We're flying a little bit. We're like a kite. We're flying high like a kite. Because we're gonna keep it loose. We're gonna have some fun today. It's gonna be a lot. So if you're ready to rock and roll, if you're ready to get wet, I recommend you take it out of her puss and squirt all over yourself and her. Douse yourself equally with sperm and vaginal juice. But let's get wet. I know I'm wet. Let's get right into it, shall we? Drug sniffing babies. That's right, drug sniffing babies. I like to just put this forward instead of, because you've heard it all before. You've seen it at the airports. Dogs sniffing drugs, picking up dogs that sniff for drugs. Isn't it time that we take it and we look at the situation at hand? We say, you know what? There's competition amongst all of us. The human species, we've got robots on one side and animals on the other side. But why should dogs get this great job at the airport sniffing drugs when you have toddlers that could be trained just as good, if not better, to sniff for drugs, all sorts of substances, even explosives? Imagine, instead of you worrying about, oh, is this canine gonna behave? How am I gonna feel attached to this canine, knowing that it's a dog? Wouldn't it be nicer to work with coworkers who are of the human species? That's why I like to advocate in replacing sniff dog drugs, dog to sniff the drugs, with babies, toddlers essentially. Put them on leashes, give them a little bit of drugs in the beginning, and then take it away, and then make them kind of like, get used to it, and then give them a little bit more, and then take it away, and then give them a little bit more, and then take it away. Eventually, you want them to be fiending. You want them to be coming back for the good, but they only get it if they find it in the suitcases that are kilograms, 45 kilograms here. You'll hear it. People trying to, take it, whether it's, and I'm for it. I'm for legalizing all of it. But you hear about it, you're like, oh, somebody tried to take 45 kilograms of weed from Canada to somewhere in their suitcase. I'm all for it. I say free market, less is fair. Less is fair. Less is fair. Less en faire. Free market is how I'd say, get rid of it so that everybody can become dealers. But until then you hear about it, that's just like one case. It's not even a bad thing. Marijuana, legalize it globally. I've said that from the beginning. But then you have, Colombia, this place, that, Venezuela, Mexico, China, fentanyl, cocaine, getting mixed up in luggage coming across, or ships. They'll find tons, 200 tons, they'll bust it. 200 tons of cocaine's been busted. The submersibles, they're getting submarines now, shipping drugs underwater. I'm telling you right now, because dogs cannot swim, whereas babies, you've seen them. Some mothers actually give birth in the water. They'll go in a jacuzzi. They'll go at the local healthcare facility center with a jacuzzi. They will go to the rec center. They will ruin everyone's afternoon or day. They're selfish. They don't care about the time. They'll give birth in the swimming pool. You see these babies that come out in the water, which makes everybody question, why don't we just live in water? If babies can live in water, which they do, if babies can live in water, why can't we as human adults live in water? I mean, that's what I say. You know what? At least for a certain period, until they're like, I don't know what, maybe 5, 6, until then, keep them underwater, send them underneath the bedrock, underneath the ocean, send them over there just waiting for vessels to go by and just sniffing underwater with their swinging and twirling their umbilical cords and sniffing for cocaine underwater. Babies that are, and make them work them out too, make them put training videos for them, watch other babies, global babies from Russia or somewhere like Siberia, where the babies are trained to fight bears and chew on tree bark. You've seen these videos of little tiny babies fighting tree barks, kicking and punching the trees until the tree breaks. Make these babies watch those videos and then get rid of the drug sniffing dogs, put the babies to work, give them a good work habit essentially. And we could, because schooling's been under scrutiny for some time, and the past little while at least. We're like, why does anybody need a degree in this or that? But then degrees are good, I suppose, but people also need to be working. Roll up your sleeves, the baby sleeves that is, and then put them on leashes and just get them hooked a little bit on heroin. That's what I'm trying to say today. Get the babies hooked on heroin. That's the moral of the story. And send them underwater too, with no scuba gear. You don't need to invest in scuba gear. A lot of times adults go scuba diving, they got to take oxygen tanks. Babies, freaks of nature, how do they do it? We don't know. No one can explain it, but they're here. Let's make use of them. And you take the money they earn and put it towards maybe I'd say a college tuition fee, but then they're probably not gonna go. Maybe they can use it for a down payment on a house later on. Or maybe you can just take that money as an adult, as a full-grown parental adult, gamble it. 20, red 20, put 50,000, red 25. Those words mean nothing to me. I don't know anything about roulette. But black 21 black. You can either can you go just black or red, or do you have to pick a number? Is there more money if you pick a number? I'd say if it's just black or red, that's like 50-50. But then if you're picking a number, that's one in however many numbers. So, just gamble it all. It's your baby. Do whatever you like with your baby's hard-earned money. But what I'm trying to say is that is how you build a good work ethic. That's what I'm trying to get at. If dogs can do it, if stupid canines can do it, then stupid babies can do it too. Make money off your babies today. Do it. Ladies and gents. Baseball bats. I think it's certain things are, beloved sports, and in Canada and the United States, we love certain sports, of course, but there needs to be a little bit of change. I'm not gonna lie to you. Did they start off with using wooden bats and then transition into metal bats? Maybe. But what came before the actual wooden bats, though? I'd like to ask the audience. Leave a comment, if you will, if you know the answer. If you think you know the answer, leave a comment. I'd like to take us back to the time where we used to play real baseball with real baseball bats. That's when we used to grab bats from caves and have people pitch the ball at us and have us whack the ball with an actual bat, a living bat. Sure, we got bitten. Sure, we got rabies. Sure, we got all sorts of the hepatitis, which was pretty cool. Nothing makes a cruditis like a little bit of hep, and we all got it. It was fine. But that's what made the greats. But all of a sudden, people are like, oh, you can't hit the ball with the bat because it's one, biting you, two, every time the ball makes contact with the bat kind of screeches and shrieks and screams and bites you more, and it's just digging its rat hands into your forearm and scratch your eyeball out, and it's chewing on your eyeball. You can't have that every time, and it's it hurts the bat. People said that, and then eventually people were like, we'll just transition to wooden bats. And And that's how we got rid of actual bats in baseball, and eventually we got rid of the wooden bats, replaced some of them with metal bats. But I say it's high time that we go back to the tradition, we go back to the basics if we want to maintain some of our, some of our values, some of our traditions, some of our. So what I'm trying to advocate right now is to bring back actual bats in baseball. Instead of wood or metal, go with the animal. Again, don't be puss, because if you look at the origin of the stories, there are cave paintings with people batting balls out of the outfield into these innings, they're stealing all the bases, they're swinging for but they're using actual bats. That's what I like to say, that it's been missing from the game, and I think it will just make it a little bit more exciting. But that's just my opinion. And that's just me keeping it $1.50, keeping it real. That's the way the sport should be. That's the way it was invented by our forefathers, and that's the way they like it. So let's do it together. Let us not get in the way of ourselves and be like, oh, we need to protect animals. They like it. Don't worry about protecting the animals' rights. They like being part of our lives, and we like them being a part of our lives, and we like having them in our lives too. That's for sure. So let's bring bats back out of the cave onto the field, and just make it a good time for everyone. Ladies and gents, it's a question that has baffled the human species for millennia, centuries, thousands of years, since the dawn of time. Je peux the podcast. Why do men go to the bathroom together? That's one of the questions that's rattled everyone's brains. The brightest of minds out there are wondering, why is it that every time a man is in public and with his man friends, why is it that when they get up to go to the bathroom, they are accompanied by other men to the bathroom? And why don't the females do this? It is odd, it is strange. What do men do in the bathroom together that women can do independently by themselves? Why must we go collectively? Some speculate out there that men go to the bathroom together to hold each other's peens while they're pissing. That's one theory, of course. One other theory is that men get into the bathroom and gossip about how cute the ladies are and who they're crushing on. That's another one. Another theory suggests that men go to the bathroom to trade stock tips, like the Dow and the Jones, the Dow and the S&P and the SP and the S&Ps. They go and say, which stock are you buying, Larry? And Larry will say something like, I'm buying a new AI stock. It's called AI stock. Buy that. And John will thank him, and then they'll wiggle each other's peens to get rid of the last drops of urine from each other's penises, and they'll maybe give each other shoulder massages, and they'll say that maybe they'll share a little bit of an intimate story, like maybe how they're dealing with their personal lives, relationships. How's your lady treating you? They'll trade stories of how their ladies are treating them, and sometimes they might even break into tear, and sometimes their mustaches might get ruffled. And sometimes one of them might, carry a tiny bag of, mustache equipment and upkeep stuff. And a little mustache, and a friend will hand you a little mustache comb in the men's bathroom and say, here, wipe your tears from your mustache. Go ahead, trim it too. Here's a little tiny scissor, trim your mustache as well. And that's what men do. Speculation, of course, alleged. Who will ever know? But why is it that men go to the bathroom together and females never do? Why is that? You'd think that females would go to the bathroom too, but they don't. It's men. Strange. Do men need a support group in order to be able to drop a deuce? They also allegedly say that men in public can't take a shit by themselves, whereas women independently shit. You don't see women going to the bathroom and lifting up each other's skirts so that they're able to shit, it would make sense for them to go to the bathroom and help each other lifting up their long skirts. How would you, it's a whole, how are you going to squeeze and just like kind of crouch over and like, oh, it's not coming, I'm constipated, or maybe I got the diarrheas. It would make sense because they got the long hair and the long dresses, but no, it's men that go to the bathroom together and ladies go independently, separately. Why is that? I'll leave that to the internet. But that's aside the point, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it. It is Friday. It's Friday. We're having all of it together. Many of things are happening in and around the world today. Globally speaking, major global events. Mark Zuckerberg met with Donald Trump, and they had din. Thoughts on the hot takes on the din between half lizard, half man with Donald Trump. I think it went well overall. I don't know. I'm gonna say it's good to have a lizard interact with more humans. Hopefully he will. Is there hope for a lizard to lose their lizardness and lizard attributes and become more human? We will see. Allegedly, Donald Trump did feed Mark Zuckerberg mosquitoes, because that's what lizards and flies and other small insects too. And allegedly, Mark Zuckerberg licked his eyeball in the meeting during the dinner, which was a little bit off-putting. I'm not gonna lie to you, but that's what these guys, some of them, they do that. I'm not here to, that's just reptilian eating habits. I'm not here to say I'm for it. Money recognize money, power recognize power. Bros before hoes. Money, yes, I'm for it. Meta, fully in support of Meta. It would be nice if, yes, I'm for Meta. I'm for, I'm looking into, I've been thinking about this. I think I might open up an X. I've never been on the Twitters. You don't even call it that anymore. I might get on the X as well. It's just good to have a little bit of competition. Diet Coke versus Diet Pepsi, it's the same thing. Shaved puss versus full-grown bush, same good. Both is equally as good. And yes, so that went down, and Zuck said, "I'm here to support." Donald Trump said, "You best be here to support." But more or less the same, in the same vein. It's like, so being supportive, we're all supporting each, which is nice. So yes, in the future, I say this, we need Zuckerberg to show up to more of the UFCs. That'll make him a little bit more human. We need him to probably, of course, he doesn't have to do any of this, but he doesn't give a fuck about anything in terms of, like, at least for, like, my opinion doesn't matter is what I'm trying to say. Like, he's a multi-billionaire. I'm just saying what I would think he might want to do if he wants to be more human. I'm just giving human to lizard advice. Dine with the fighters as well. Fight with the fighters as well. Other human things. You could ride more, ride more, jet skis. That is definitely a human activity. What else could he do? He could, less censorship, less, use, I don't know what it is that these high level lizards do, to be honest with you. It's something to do with, like, mass surveillance, using social media platforms to, do incredibly amazing things. One, bring people together, but also maybe sometimes separate people, spy on people sometimes, overthrow governments sometimes, who knows? All allegedly speculative, of course. Who knows I don't know anything. That's one of the pillars, the many pillars that built this podcast. Wait. So the point is have a biscuit, get out in the sun a little bit more. The jiu-jitsu is good. I believe in redemption. Just because you alleged, who cares how you get there? Is when you get there, you get there. That's one of the things that I've learned in life. And again, money wreck money. Money supports money. Power supports power. We're in it together. It doesn't matter how do these things come about? How do these it's things that I don't know, way above my pay grade. I don't get paid, so everything is technically above my pay grade. How you end up in certain positions in life, it doesn't. What matters is that we're all supportive, and that global mass surveillance with AI, and we'll get into that it is all good and we all love it. I'm trying to, because when you're, it's times change. You'll find yourself changing as you grow into an adult, trying to like maintain a little bit of that, like, spirit of whatevs. But then you listen to all sorts of people throughout the years. You get yourself, you listen to many of voices, and at the end of the day, you learned from listening to a lot of people. Money hose, money gets the get the money, get the hose. That's what from I'm talking from everybody. Essentially, that's what it is. The key lesson is: put aside the fact that somebody might be a lizard person. It doesn't matter. If you can get with it, money supports money, power with the powers, money, puss, money. That is essentially, forget all your schooling. If you are, and this is the podcast, I've built this, it's essentially, for me, myself, first and foremost. Second, if anybody finds it of any use, the giggles and the laughs, I hope you guys enjoy some of that if it happens. But also as somebody who, I don't, it's things that I might have liked to have heard when I was a little bit younger. And if, again, for whatever reason, and there's plenty of other people that you should probably be listening to and learning from, but I'm just saying some of the things, if it, schooling could have just, all of it could have just been wiped out. And if somebody just drilled in my head at an earlier age, just money, puss, that would have that's all you need to learn for males and females, and just reverse puss with peen, and you're good to go. That's all you need to learn, and find a way to get the money, like, which whoever is doing whatever, whether you find yourself, strong in the maths, the sciences, or the sports, or the arts, whatever. That's one of the biggest things. If forget everything else, literally forget everything else. It's all useless info. Money, money. All is well that swells well, and people change, and forgiveness, and second, third, fourth, fifth chances is always that's one of the other pillars of this podcast. So yes, full lizard previous life, shed a little bit of skin, is now potentially more human than before, and there's room for the future to be even more human for all of us. So hells yes to meetings and din-dins. Ladies and gents, what else is going on? Lots of things are happening in and around the world that are kind of, connected, I guess, in a sense, or we'll make them connected, baby. Je t'en. That's French for subscribe. Australia is doing a world first, and this one is, I'm torn on this one. My asshole is torn on this one. My pee hole is my urethra is torn on this one. My taint also torn on the matter at hand. Australia, mate, Australia. Dude, put another shrimp on the barbie, mate. That's not a kangaroo. This is a roo. Dingo ate your baby with a roo. Fighting a roo this afternoon. Eating a dingo, barbecuing a beer. Come over here, give me a beer. Bear. Is that a bear or a bear? Come here. Jeton. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that Australia is doing a world first. They are going ahead and implementing a social media ban, which I don't know how I feel about. Hot takes. He takes it hot. They're going ahead and saying, no social media. No social media for the under 16s. That's happening. You're saying if you're under 16, you're gonna have to, good luck getting on the lines if you're under 16 from now on. And I thought about this and I'm still again torn into pieces. Asshole burning, penis cut in half because I'm torn. My heart divided. My farts sporadically all over the place. Banning the social medias for the under 16. Yes, the issue is that they're saying we need to protect the children's. That's what they're saying. They're putting the children, they're saying babies, we're gonna protect you by not letting you be on the lines on the social medias like Instagrams, like the Facebooks, like the TikToks, or whatever the kids are on these days, adolescents, youth that are one day youthful, next day they are 35 and they have gotten fucking gray pubic hair. Few, but nonetheless, all goes very quickly, doesn't it? Yes, it does, which is nice. The point is, ladies and gents, that they are saying no to, so and that'll come into effect in about a year, so they still got time. The point is, we need to, yes, are children harming themselves or getting harmed by social media? Yes, maybe. I don't have kids. I don't know, to be honest with you. You do see them. You do definitely see from being outside, and really they do seem to, indicate that they've lost a little bit, like the social skills are a little bit lacking. Maybe, I don't know. These are some of the ways that maybe they're seeing influencers who are, because again, it goes back to it used to be not too long ago, the social circles were local and used to, compare yourself with whoever was within the vicinity. Now you got this global mirror / look, seeing through the looking glass throughout the world or whatever. You're looking onto the other side and it's like, oh, I'm like 14, I live in wherever the fuck, and I gotta compare myself to whoever the fuck, wherever the fuck, and they might be living to whatever life, or pretending at least you see depictions of people's lives. So whether it's young girls seeing body types that they might not find themselves relating to, but then having to kind of conform to in order to be able to fit in. Oh, I'm not as skinny as this bitch, she's so skinny, you might say that. Or I'm not as big as this fucking weightlifting chick that I'm into. Whatever you're comparing yourself to, you might be like, I need to self-harm, and you'll go in a corner and lock yourself in a room, and maybe you'll cut yourself. Maybe people are doing that, I'm not quite sure. Or you might fucking go and you might have Thanksgiving dinner and you'll be a good young man or woman in front of your family. You'll eat all your food and everybody's like, oh yes, thank God, Melissa's really coming into it, and she's becoming a young woman. I'm so looking forward to the bright future that she has ahead of us. And Melissa will thank the family and pardon herself after 3-4 hours of spending with family members who she's not really seen in quite some time, and she'll run upstairs, and as the rest of the family is downstairs doing their thing and burping and unbuttoning pant buttons and maybe just scratching a little bit of the pubic bone region and releasing some gas to make room for more dessert, second, third dessert, Melissa is upstairs being a full-blown bulimic. She's throwing up because she wants to be a skinny bitch. Or maybe she's trying to again gain weight to become a Hulk lady. Who knows what she's into? Do you even talk to your kids these days? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't have any children. I don't, it's not my concern. What I will say is that they might be doing so, or your boy might be seeing things online that he too might be tempted to reenact or use to self-harm, such as anything, you name it. Your boy might see another fellow who might be out there living the life, and your kid might say to himself, I'm gonna be living the life too. And they might just, I don't know, take some fireworks and shove it in their face and watch it explode for the clicks. And they might see somebody traveling, causing a havoc overseas, getting clicks, and then getting arrested. They might watch that and they're like, you know what, this fella is getting clicks and I'm seeing a pattern, money, clicks, money, puss, clicks, puss, money, interchangeable. I'm gonna travel overseas and do something cray overseas. Meanwhile, their frontal lobe is not developed yet properly or whatever, the stupid kids, right? And they go overseas, and then these, next thing you know, Johnny is fucking streaking in front of the Taliban's, having a good time, say what's up to the world, Taliban's. And Taliban's is finding it very hard to just digest all it, because your kid is a redhead, and in that part of the world you'll be surprised certain things, you're flashing your bright red teen bush in front of our community, they'll say the next thing you know, your kid's being hung, self-harming, something along, or your kid might go to Korea and just disrespect a shrine, motherfucker. Your kid might see clicks and self-harm, might see somebody on the lines in Japan just doing crazy whack shit to get the clicks, which equates to money, which equates to puss. Your kid might say to himself, I'm gonna go fucking urinate on a Japanese shrine and get the clicks. Next thing you know, Yakuza, bitch. So just like that, your kid could be in the triad. Your kid is in the triad now because of social media. Of course, your kid could have been in the triad in the 90s before social media. I myself, I remember the time where I had like one of those flip phones, and then eventually we got the smartphones. But at that time, you heard whispers and rumors of somebody's older brothers and sisters who may or may not be involved in the triad. Was that just talk amongst the youth, trying to build some sort of a, rap for themselves? Maybe. Did somebody's older sisters and cousins one day show up to school and beat up another kid? Maybe. Were they all? Who knows? What I'm trying to say is your kid could have been in the triad 10, 15 years ago as well. May or may, I'm just saying the point, but there are more risks now with the social medias. They might be seeing all sorts of things. One of the biggest things is, of course, one of the biggest things is potentially, putting the sexual content and making the children sexual at an early age through the phones, because it is available out there. It's available out there. The phones are, they're a casino, they're a bank, they're a world of all sorts of access to all sorts of information. They're like a drug. They're a casino, drug, gambling, sex, drug, sex, phone, and it's all in your pocket, drug. So the point is, ladies and gentlemen, that there's that aspect of it too. You're like, I don't want my children being exposed to the sexuals from an early age. Well, guess what? They're being exposed to the sexuals from an early age. If they do get on the phones, it's just a click of a button. And it's not just this, the thing too, if you even socially ban them from social media platforms, but that's the thing, you're robbing your tweens of the ability to go and sell themselves early. Or if you're telling your kids to go learn something difficult and build value, and where they could be, getting groomed by now and learning to just, especially if they're like female, they could be getting groomed and just bathing suit photo after bathing suit photo after bathing suit photo, and popping them tits and ass and growing to be, as soon as they come out to, before the teens, and then they hit 18, 19, they could be on the OnlyFans selling titties, and you're like, go learn something difficult and show your value in society. And she's like, shut the fuck up, I'm building an empire on pornwhatever.com, and you don't understand, moms, I got the money, I got the puss, and I'm selling it, and we're getting out of this shithole. And it's nice, and you'll take the money and you'll thank her later. She will probably develop some sort of addiction later on, but she was already on that path. Who's to blame? No one. We're all in it together. There are no fingers pointing at you, which can be not, with any finger you point at anything or anyone will be 5 times the number of fingers pointing at you. Something about fingering each other. Something about that. The hands you use to finger yourself might be the hands that are used to finger you. What? Something about, again, us fingering one another. That's the moral of this story. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that you are robbing your children of access to marketing, early access to marketing. Those are some of the downsides. Of course, will somebody think of the pedophiles? That's another one. Can we, when we're all thinking of protecting the children, can we all once and for all and say, hey, how will grown men now DM young ladies, or maybe even boys too? How will, or just scour the internet for their photos and go follow them and have weird relationships on the, how will these pedophiles do that? And there are people that we need to just, you need to, you need to just take a moment. But these are the things that might get brought up and say we are protecting the youth against, self-harm, sexuality, and, overexposure to contents that's made for the adults, and that all may be well and true. But then you say to yourself, you might say that how do we verify these kids that are 16 or anybody else for them? And that's where it gets tricky, my friends, because they're dangling children, babies are being dangled in front of you and saying for your babies are representing safety. They're dangling safety babies in front of you and saying for your safety and your children, baby safeties, we need to verify you online. And now you need to verify your age and who the fuck you are, sir, madam, before going on the lines to whichever website, which brings into questions of privacy or privacy, which is, it's crazy because that's also a thing too. So I'm, like I said in the beginning, I myself am torn to pieces, shredded from my pee hole, because on the one hand, yes, maybe children shouldn't be exposed to everything on the lines, but also, what's with the verification? How are we gonna, implement this? Is this a good precedent to set? What about cases of people? What about adults? What about, because what if I'm just an adult and I just want to go on a social media platform or on any website, and you're like, we need to verify that you're not 16. I'm out here, fucking gray pubic hair, a couple of gray pubic hair and all, and I gotta be like, I'm not 16, motherfucker. I'm not. It's you get stupid gray pubic hair, and I'll be reminded of that, and I have to click I'm above age. And then they'll have to say, well, if it was as easy as that, well, everybody can get access, but now you're gonna have to verify. And how do we verify? I don't know. Uploading driver's licenses, passports, perhaps? More information on the lines, getting more embedded with the matrix. All of it, who knows? What are the consequences? We don't know, but the point is, dangling baby safety of the children, save the children. So that is a thing. It's happening in Australia. They're doing it. How would you verify? Or you take a picture of yourself every time you want to watch porn to verify. You get your biometrics in there. That's John. We know what he likes. Go on in, John. Certified, verified. Get on, you freak. And you'll jerk off having, and that's one anniversary. So that's the thing we can, maybe that's the canary in the coal mine saying, hey, enjoy the last moments of you anonymously, or at least seemingly anonymously, because really everybody knows that everything online is traceable. So at least you have to at least you don't have to verify that you're watching porn, whereas you log in with your identity. There's something to that, or maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. I don't have the answers. Whatever gets us all closer to the monies and the bags and the puss, I'm for that. That's the lesson that I've learned. And I'm saying, hey, if we need to every once in a while stretch our tongues and lick an eyeball, then so fucking be it, I think. I don't know. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that's happening in Australia. But then notions of anonymity comes in, and there is definitely thought there. Should people have the option of just going online and cruising the lines in total or almost somewhat, a little bit of anonymity? So should people have that option, or should we say, nay, you should come out and let us be traceable to some degree, that we should know who's online doing what? I personally don't like I don't like the fact that you could create fake accounts, but I could see the reason why. I could also see the reason why some people might choose to create fake accounts, whether they're bots or actual humans. Maybe they are, it could be argued that whistleblowers would like to maintain anonymous while whistleblowing and also watching porn. You could also say that people just like to have anonymity for no reason at all. That could also be it. So people like to, maintain private citizens. That's a right that we've little by little given up. And it's a lot of it. And it's at a point you kind of just want to throw your hands up in the air, wave around like you just don't care, and say, hey, then. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, they're waving baby safety and saying you need to get verified. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Again, I'm torn on it. I don't know. We need people with large, double, triple sized brains to get in there and figure it out. And I'll say this. You can't protect your kids from everything at all times. That's just a reality. Because 100 years ago, children used to be knee deep in coal mines, smoking cigarettes in a coal mine, chiseling away at pieces of coal, little soot-covered babies. And we've gotten rid of we've invented a whole concept of people didn't have childhoods. It's relatively, I know it's, obviously it gets talked about because but it's a relatively new concept, I think. Didn't it used to be you were born and you're strapped to your mother or father's back and you went onto the field and you'd work the field with you suckling on mama's tits, work in the field not too long ago, and as soon as you could crawl, they hand you a little machete or a little sickle and you'd be sickling the fucking, wheat. You'd be in a wheat farm and wheating, you'd sickling and macheting, and then you grew up to, again, at 5, you had 6, 7 years old, you already had a family of your own, which is crazy. People got married and had children extremely early. That probably wasn't too good, so we did some good. Probably a sweet spot somewhere. Now, all I'm trying to say is maybe recognize that we can't protect children from everything at all times, because you don't want to, I don't know. This, again, I'm torn on this one, because yes, social media, overall, having a phone that gives you access to everything at any moment. These kids could be typing anything and getting access to weapons of mass destruction, learning how to build all sorts of things, sex, the drugs. Maybe somebody will lure them into trafficking. Crazy stuff might happen because of the phone, but also, crazy stuff has always happened. It's the best thing I think to do, is to 1, educate, 2, tell them that it's get the money, get the puss. So the education needs to be good, and make your kids into little fighters that chip the trees with their teeth and are getting jobs at the local airport sniffing for drugs, fentanyl specifically, and pink cocaine. Needs to be dealt with. All I'm saying is it's a whole thing that we all need to work to collectively tackle this bitch together. It is a doozy. What Australia is doing seems a little bit harsh, because of I'm a big fan of the freedom of, access to information, access to freedom of expression. But then, yes, there's definitely, and yes, then, you're like, give them freedom of expression. Next thing you know, your teenage kid is turning trans and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. So there's freedom. And on the other side, there's trans teens. So there you have it, folks. We're in it to win it together. Get that money, get that puss, get that money, get that puss, get that money, get that puss. That's what you learn. Is that get that money, get that puss. And everybody, you can go to school for that, you can go to the streets for that, you can take the science route, the art route, you could fucking meditate on it, you could do all, that's what you learn from all listening to that. If you don't have time to listen to many people out there, just letting you know, money, puss, it's literally it, that's humanity, could be just, that is it. At this point, of course, there's hope for the future that we might somehow everybody might get money puss, and I don't know what comes after that. We will figure it out together. What I'm here to say is that that's something that's happening in and around the world. Of course, simultaneously, all this talk of anonymity, identification, verification. I believe Air Canada in Canada, Wagwan to Mi Familia in Canada, we have now introduced paperless entering and boarding of the planes on Air Canada domestic flights. You can just like upload, you have an option of uploading your information on the lines, your passport, your IDs, and going through they are now doing just facial recognition at the airport. You can, if you've uploaded your information and they have your biometrics, you can just walk in there and waltz in and just waltz in and just chuck your bag in there and get on board without having to wait in many lines. I think less lines. I would say some lines are still required. Not all the lines will be eliminated, of course, but less lines. We are now using facial recognition to air for domestic flights with Air Canada. And there's talks, I think, I'm not quite sure, of maybe using these technologies. You do hear of them in different parts of the world. Some stores might be using it already. You walk in there, facial recognition, biometrics, taking in all your data, telling you if you're gay or not by the way you look, by the way you walk, telling you if you're gonna be a thief or not, telling you if you've got thoughts and stuff, looking at you, pinpointing on every movement, metadata on top of metadata. They know exactly what you're into and they're into it too, and they're going to sell you the stuff that you're into, and it's going to be good, and it's going to get rid of all sorts of crime until, of course, people wear full-blown masks and then do the thievery like that, which is cray-cray. I don't know. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. I don't know. I think, again, as I've gotten 1-2 pubic hairs will remind you that it's about eventually the machines it's hard to fight the machine. That is one thing that I will say. You become embedded into it one way or another. So embrace it. I say yes, I think. I don't know how this will evolve into that. I've had dystopian nightmares about how this will unfold, but of course that's just me kind of like it's good to be, I think, a little bit skeptical about all the technological advancements that we're in. A lot of it is good. I'm a fan of a lot of it. I just tend to be a little bit, it's good to be a little bit skeptical. Is it not good to be a little, for me at least, I can only speak for myself, money, puss, jeton. The point is that embrace it. Full-blown facial recognition, biometrics globally in 100 years, maybe. Are these because then it's tricky. It's tricky because I don't know. In a sense, if you did kind of implement this at the borders with all the border talk, because people are saying like, boy, we need to protect the borders, border this, border that. Facial recognition. If you put it in biometrics, you know exactly who's coming in and who's coming out. If you make every country facial recognition, then we'll be in a total dystopian, global mass surveillance dystopia. Or it could be really good. It could be really good in a sense that we learn to look at mass surveillance as a good thing. It could totally be a good thing. It could totally be a good thing. But then again, you cannot wear masks, which I'm not a fan of, unless it's Halloween or some sort of like, if it's some sort of fucking like adult consensual, like, eyes wide shut, but like consensually with full-blown adults, then mask it up. Let's fucking go to the woods. Let's burn effigies. Let us suck and fuck and shake hands and get ahead. Which is another thing that we need to bring back. Sex climbing, we need to bring that back. I think it's taken a little bit of a back burner position for some time, but we need to bring it back. And this time, it used to be sex climbing was mostly for, you heard of it, because it's not too often you hear men sex climbing, or at least I've not heard of this, but you did hear about that, at least being an option of it being available. How could you, well, if you could blowjob your way to the top. Well, what about eating puss to the top? These are some of the ways that I'm just like, we got to work together to bring more opportunities and like make it a little bit more easy to give access to, because it's now the age of kicking down the barriers, saying jeton, and saying, hey there, hey, whatever sort of gatekeeping is, let's lessen it together. Because it's not like it doesn't exist, and all these different realms, different things doing gatekeeping activities, which whatevs, it doesn't matter. But the point is, there should be available for you. There should be an option available for you to sex climb. I'm just saying. I don't even know how we got there, but the point is that you should definitely be able to blow your way to the top of the fucking ladder of the whatever ladder game. Blow, people like ladders. You should be able to blow your way to the top. I'm just saying, think about it. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that Air Canada is doing that thing, and it's bringing into effect the notions of, again, facial recognition and biometrics, which leads us to our next story, which by coincidence or by happenstance, it happens to be in Canada. Wagwan 2 over there in BC, Vancouver. Some gentleman got lost, a Canadian hiker got lost in the woods for 50 days, and he decided to show up after 50 days. And people are torn on this as well. I believe his name is Sam Benastic or Benastic, one of those two, I'm not quite sure. Do apologize in advance for mispronouncing your last name. I don't know if it's Benastic or Benastic. Sam Benastic. 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 It doesn't matter. The point is, Sam went missing for 50 days. And first of all, let's just again look at this. And then he showed up, and there's many things to unpack here. What is, for me, first and foremost, what is the adequate, appropriate number of days that you could go missing and still come back and just have things be cool, you know what I mean? Because like, how long do you get to go missing and come back? That's essentially what I'm trying to find out, because a lot of people online, in real life, on the streets, might be having issues with this, and saying 50 days is it's far too long for anyone to go missing and come back. That's just too long. Jesus did it in 3 days. You're taking 50. That is like, if you're going away for 50 days and then you go missing in the woods and get found or find your way back somehow, you need to, again, this is not me, this is just people talking. Some say that it's selfish for people who go missing to come back after a long period of time. 50 days, it's far too long. Many families start moving on statistically after 6.5, 7 days. So 50 days, some people online are saying on the streets that it's far too long, that perhaps Sam was perhaps a little bit selfish after coming back, having spent 50 days out there in the woods, getting mixed up in all sorts of, hijinks and mischievous behavior or whatever. I'm just saying 50 days is just too long. It's too long. But that's not me saying anything. That's just the internet and the streets talking. How long do people, honestly, a week tops, because that's what most vacations are. You can book a week vacation and go fully embed yourself in an ecosystem, or go lay on a full resort beach for 7, but then you get back. Set maximum 10 days. 10 days is what I give people, or again, this is not me though, it's just the internet and people on the streets talking. 10 days is the top amount. That's enough. If you don't come back after 10 days, people will obviously have already held a funeral for you. People will already have moved on. They would have divided up your goods and belongings amongst the family members. Hopefully you've left a will. But yes, 50 days, some people say, is far too long. Having said that, we are living in the age of, this is it. This brings us kind of these 2 points of the Air Canada facial recognition biometrics. Again, going back even further to the verification of IDs and people being geolocated all over the place using all sorts of chips and technology. I'm just saying, are these the last days that people could go missing? Could there be a time in the future where people can no longer actually have the ability to go missing? Because going missing used to be kind of like a human, because if things didn't work out, you heard of it. You have a family in one place, things didn't work out, you got up and moved to another town, just another town, not even that far. And people say, you went missing. Where did Steve go? We don't know. He's been missing. You're 75 miles, 120 miles in another state. You're 200 miles in another jurisdiction. You're starting a brand new life. And it was another life. And you had the chance to do that. And when you were old and dying, you'd let your family members know that they might have other family members who they're connected to, which is nice. So there's no longer that kind of surprise anymore, which, you can't go missing. People would have the ability in the past to find money and just disappear. They walk into a situation filled with money and puss, and they used to put the money and the puss in a duffel bag, and you'd see them boarding trains, airplanes, and cars. And you'd say, my good sir, where are you going today? And he'd say something along the lines, oh, just going to work. And then meanwhile, he had packed puss and cash in a duffel bag, and he was going to disappear, which was, you had that option. Maybe you robbed the bank. Maybe you started a bank, then you robbed the bank that you started. Maybe somebody somewhere did a crime and you witnessed the crime, and there were two gangs fighting over crime and money and puss, and they took each other out, and you just you happen to be there. And now all the gang members from both sides are dead. And now there's just money and puss everywhere. So you take the money and puss and you're like, well, I'm not gonna go back to my day job. It's gonna disappear. But now you can't do this. It's become very difficult. So I'm just saying there's that. So on the bright side of things, despite the fact that this gentleman decided to return after 50 days, and now his family, I guess, has to kind of pretend they're cool with it and they're happy, I guess, whatever. It did set a record. On the bright side, I do want to mention to the family, the community, everybody involved, Canada, we were all, for 7 days at least, up until, even the 9th, 10th day, everybody was just like, come back, Sam. But 50 days, again, far too long. The bright side is that we did kind of set a record. I'm not quite sure if this is the longest a person has gone missing and come back. Again, the most notable comeback was JC, and, but he also made liquor. So, I want to see something, can you cook meth, Sam? Can you stomp on cocoa leaves maybe a little bit? Can we give you cocoa leaves to stomp on, a little bit more cocoa leaves to make a little bit of cocaine in the woods, maybe in the jungle? Sam, where were you, Sam? Jeton. The point is, yes, we're all glad he's back and he's safe, of course. Let no one go missing. Let no one have the ability to go missing. God. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it together. What else is going on? Of course, this one is one of my favorites. One of my favorite parts of the show today is because one of my things, again, I love holes. One of my other things that I love in life, solving cases of sabotage. Detective Rob Sadri stepping into the scene of the crime once again. I'm sorry that I've left my detective hat and detective coat somewhere else. It's not with me right now, but it doesn't matter. The point is, Detective Rob Sadri is here to figure out whether we're dealing with a case of sabotage, saboteurs, or an accident. International conflict alert. Oh, jeton. Oui, oui, mon bon béton. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that it's China. China has been, who is somebody, I think it's Sweden, wants answers from China. They are saying that there were cords underwater, power cords, umbilical cords, fiber optics, cords that connect countries, and I don't know what these cords do underwater. Why do we put cords in the water, first of all? everyone here is a suspect now, bitch. Inspector Detective Rob Sadry's on the case, motherfuckers. And I want some answers. So does Sweden. There's been a case of alleged sabotage. Electrical wires were running underneath the Baltic Sea. That's right, in the Baltic region, wires connecting Finland and Germany together. The two wires were cut. Finland and Germany's wires, I think, were cut. Sweden and Lithuania's wires were also cut. And I want some fucking answers, and I'm not going anywhere. And guess what? You're not going anywhere. And guess what? We're not going anywhere. And guess what? No one's... What? We're everywhere, bitch. We're everywhere looking into business. The point is, there was a vessel in the Baltic Sea that is sus. Yiping 3, I believe that's the name of the vessel. I think Yiping, if I remember correctly. I could be completely mistaken. That name could be wrong, but there was a 3 in the name. Yiping sounds right in my heart of hearts. When I look deep down inside within myself, I hear Yiping. Yiping 3, apparently in the Baltic Sea, allegedly just kind of let that thing hang. It let it hang. It let that anchor hang and drag. Did the old hang and drag. And apparently it cut a couple of wires, allegedly, maybe. Now, why would a Chinese vessel, first of all, be in the Baltic Sea? That's the first most important, because the Baltic Sea, yeah, European region. Chinese vessel, European region. What is that I smell? Saboteurs. Or just good coffee. Something smells like hazelnut. And I will get to the bottom of this. We'll get to the bottom of this together. What would China have to gain from these wires being cut? Is what I like to know. What was being passed through these wires connecting again Germany and Finland, Sweden and Lithuania? Was it a large? Was it a? Oh, is this the biggest? Is this the largest? Are these the longest glory holes between two four nations, a set of nations? Did you just cut? Was somebody doing the peeping through were they looking through onto the other side through these wires to see, hey, those are some Lithuanian tits? Was somebody looking from Germany and saying, my, oh my, these are some nice Finnish tits? Or, was somebody trying to, feed their cock through the wire all the way across it's crazy. It has a large amount of land mass or sea mass too. That's what somebody with an extremely long penis might have been wanting to shove their penis in a line and feed it for a long distance onto the other side, connecting to another nation. And China came in and dragged their anchor and said, no glory holes between nations, not until I have something to say about it, or not until I get paid. I don't know, but we will find out together. You've made this a collective effort now. J'attends. I don't know. To be honest with you, it's a mysterious case. It's getting alleged that it was sabotage. What could be passed through wires? Information. If it's electrical, then it's information. If the wires happen to be thicker wire than to be tubes, then they are wires, so they're not tubes. But if they were some sort of like, they could have been pipelines. Fucks with the pipelines. Like the saboteur. These are all the questions that we're asking, and we'd like to find out. When we find out, there will be consequences, I think, of some nature. Who drags because nobody drags the anchor. You drop the anchor. That's the vessel. Yiping 3 it's being held in that region, the Baltic Sea, I think, for investigations. Apparently, you're supposed to drop the anchor, and then you anchor yourself. You sit. You don't move. You don't drop and drag. If you drop and drag, you're gonna do damage to all sorts of infrastructure, which is no bueno. And you might also, you know, mess up the whole feng shui of the whole, you know, bottom of the sea. That's a whole, you know, rocks might get misplaced, buried treasure might get misplaced if you're just dragging your anchor like that. People could be having sex underwater, and you could totally be fucking messing up the mood by dragging your long anchor and they're just fucking dirt, and it's already impossible to have sex in water, or near impossible. You've seen people do it. How? No one knows the many mysteries of life, but nonetheless, they're doing it. And there you go, dragging your long anchor right in between them, and they might get separated. You might have cut somebody's vag to peen connection, which is worse than cutting fiber optic wires and getting in the way of information bleeding from one location to another location. China, what are you up to? Is what Sweden would like to know. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, alongside my work in, you know, the detective business, I also happen to be an innovator and inventor, and I like to say that I looked at somewhere where there was a lot of pleasure and happiness, and that was found between two lesbians, and I said to myself, my God, what is it that they are using to have so much fun? And they were using a double-headed dildo and writing it. And I said, hey, that's great, that's fine. These lesbians are using a double-headed dildo, which they are sharing. And I said to myself, what do the gays have to share? And nothing. The gays don't have a toy that they could use like that. But I said to myself, what if I made a toy like that? What if we made a toy like that? What if we together built a double-headed flashlight where the gays could fuck vaginas that are two vaginas on opposites, you know, like double-headed vaginas, essentially. It's two vaginas, two flashlights, stick two flashlights together is what I like to, you know, offer. And that's how you change the game, because that way, and you're like, well, that's, they shouldn't be using the flashlights, because the flashlights are essentially fake vaginas. If they're looking to fuck fake vaginas, why won't they just fuck vaginas? And then that's when we say, hey, you might have a point there, but just because you have a point doesn't mean that we're gonna get these lesbians off double-headed dildos. So until then, I say we innovate in the game of sex toys and say to the gentlemen who do engage in the sexuals together that your penises could be inserted into a double-headed flashlight, vagina flashlight. Is there another name for that outside of the flashlight? The double-headed vaginas. Gotta come up with a better name, but doesn't matter, that's the product. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday, absolutely, and you're wondering to yourself, it is the holiday season, how much puss cream should I be drinking? Puss cream, you can never get enough. In order to get enough puss cream, one must consume 10,000 gallons of puss cream a day. It helps with your gut biome, and it helps you get taller and stronger. It helps you, gives you the strength to lift 10 elephants by simply drinking puss cream. Puss cream, of course, can also help you see through walls. By drinking puss cream, you will build the ability to fucking, you know, walk slightly faster, which is something that everybody's after these days. So please, during the holiday season, drink puss cream responsibly. Enjoy yourselves. And until next week, peace out. Get out of here.